It's all we talk about it.
So we're live. Welcome. Appreciate everyone for joining us. Back another week at the card table. Let's growing with guided by the cards, growing with the seasons. So yeah, it's a 7 of clubs week, and we have a little conversation around the 7 of clubs. And sometimes it's not the most exciting energy. It could be a tough one, especially mentality, overcoming doubt, fear, or whatever it may be. So I've had my ups and downs with this type of energy, especially me looking at it now. Like I've been sick this week. I'm looking at my patterns of sickness. I'm a Gemini, Ace of Spades, 3 of Diamonds. And so illnesses, sicknesses, possibly could, I think, come with the 3 of Diamonds. I think sometimes, and I don't know. It's just like that path of overcoming, gaining knowledge about the self and this spiritual awakening. I think health and spiritual awakening, understanding the outer, inner connection that you have with the earth, metaphysical medicine, and all those things can, be of question or curiosity. And 7 of clubs can be one of those ones as well. It has the Queen of Spades and Venus. It is Taurus. There's a lot of things. We've been talking about health and food, so it's positive, negative thinking. Of course, you don't want a negative doctor, right? Or someone because the clubs can be like a virus as well. Like I said, I can go from one end to the other. So if I'm not keeping a positive mind state, I can get worse possibly, or not want to fix the things that's taking place. Is like Saturn forces you to work, forces you to apply practical ideas and practical applications of work, medicine, whatever it may be, so it's the application of structures that you have. I think I did a video on here YouTube before. I was talking about I need some type of system. I look at it as like systems that Saturn Uranus. Yeah,
I liked what you said. It like went ba-ding, like a mental virus. 7 of clubs can be like a mental virus, a virus of your mind, a virus of your thoughts. And that's when you have to, what do they say? Viruses have to you let them run their course, right? You really can't do much for it. It has to kind of just fade out, right? Or dissipate. So that you think about the 7 of clubs and how if you let like that mental negativity, penetrate, now there's like a virus, a negative virus in your mind. So either gonna be a negative virus or a positive virus, right? So, and I think that that's a good way. I'm going to use that from now on with this card, the mental virus, because I think that really helps describe what this energy can really be. And it's not to downgrade the card. It's a very powerful card. It has, the potential of literally speaking things into existence. But that's the thing. Are you speaking in, a happy virus? That's even possible. But what kind of, virus are we, perpetrating here, or are we bringing forth? Because it can be very a negative mindset. And it's almost like, it can change courses. It really can be like like I said before we got live, it's like minute by minute, hour by hour with this energy. And this is like having to build that spiritual mental muscle. This is when you have to be mentally disciplined. This is when you have to be aware of your thoughts, because if not, and that virus gets in, and sometimes it can lay dormant. It doesn't even, bring itself to the surface. At times it can just, next thing you know, you're good. You're just do right, and all of a sudden, boom! Like, I'm gonna die. And all of a sudden, your thought process is completely out of control. That's the work, though. That's when you really have to, like, stop your virus, like put a halt and a brake on that mental virus, and get back more control of your thoughts, and really build that spiritual muscle of discipline and having control of your thoughts, speaking, I think a lot of people aren't even aware that they're just in the same mental patterns, and they don't understand how to kind of get out of that loop as well, that this card can bring. And then we're in it, collectively this week. So
I have a pretty good friend, 15 years or so, and she is the 7 of clubs. And we didn't know anything about the 7 of clubs until recently. But what she used to say when we were younger was, I just have to be so careful about what I say, because I feel like I'm making bad things happen, because she would go to these drama places and say these ridiculous things. And she goes, I'm scared of what I can do with my words. Like, I'm noticing how powerful they are, right?
Yeah.
And so I bring that in to say we all have that energy that we meet along the way. And when you live with that type of power, you're an example of how to use it on the high side, prayerfully, right? But it is a powerful way for us to all be reminded of our words' potential. And like the virus of our mind. Like, we were driving the other day and things were pretty chill. I was having a really good day. And I swear I felt like she was fishing. Like, well, what's up with this? What's up with that? You haven't talked about this. Like, almost looking for something to chew on or something. I said, I'm not going to let you spin out some shit on my stuff because you're bored over there. Like, take some breaths and put on some music and shit. Don't start up with me. I was like, I don't want to hear your ideas about my life. Let's get some music in the car. Let's start laughing. I don't need you to tell me, because she'll be like, what about? And did you ever think, she'll do those kind of things. And I'm like, how is that helpful? Like, stop. But it's how she is, right? So.
Yeah, I've seen the power of this card in my own multiple different times of how it's shown up for me. And I believe with my new year coming up at the end of July, it's either my reward card or my Pluto card. It's one of the two. So I know I'm actually very much paying attention this week, because I know it kind of gives me a precursor of what I can look forward to. I always pay attention to stuff like that. So, because I know it's in my spread next year. And I've been very, very conscious of the things that I think and speak this week, because I have seen the power of this how quickly you can manifest things, how you can really speak things into existence with this energy. And that's why I always say you're either going to speak life or you're going to speak death. So you have to be careful with your words. You have to be careful of the things that you say. And it doesn't mean you have to be in fear of it. No, I think you're, because it's to me, the sevens are that inside out job. So your frequency is really what, kind of ignites those thoughts. So if you're in a lack, or you're in the negative, or if you're in, a really lower mindset, you really can be, a verbal garbage can.
Totally. And it's funny. Yeah, I'm sorry, Rashad, say something.
No, you're fine. You said funny what? I know what I was going to say. I can hold it.
Okay. Yesterday, I'm moving and I hit some bumps of the awarenesses of how motivating my family, and no offense to the very different motivation systems of boys and girls, but I'll just say trying to motivate boys to help you in your house is like pushing a really big broom that like doesn't want to move. It's just something, right? And I've been doing it for such a long time that, I got my game with it. But for some reason yesterday, man, I just felt so done. I'm like, I don't want to have to push anymore. Can we just do this? So I got in my feelings. And then I went to the farm and I found myself, like, when people ask me, usually I'm just like telling a joke or keeping going, helping doing the work. Like, I'm not somebody who like puts their stuff out at the farm, I'm like, well, it's been so hard with these boys and they don't live. I was just like, oh God. And you could see the way people were like responding to it, because there was, like you said, garbage coming out of my mouth, because I'm really just talking about a day in my life, which is fine. But how I talk about it was going to create a frequency in me, right? So I caught myself because I saw their faces being like, oh gosh, I just wanted to hear, oh, they're great. They're happy. They're going to be lifeguards, But I was just in this mode of like, they both like ran out of the house this morning, knowing it was my day off, knowing that I wanted to clean the basement because we're moving. And they both like jarred it out of there and then made excuses and did smiley faces like, ha, ha, ha. And I was to be like, oh, they're so cute. I was going to do it by myself. And I was like, rah, I want to do it by myself. So I was really activated, let's say. And I had no choice to decide how to use my words in that activation. And I could feel the energy inside me, and I could feel it connect to the other people when I was going in a certain strain. You know what I mean? So I had that 7 of Clubs awareness yesterday.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between of the reality of like dealing with real life issues, because I think that's a part of Saturn, You know, it needs structure. There are issues or problems. They look at it as like the evil, you know, because it's like something needs to be done. You know, there's practical application. Like I said, a lot of times it can be sickness, or you know, or the work that we have to do. Like someone is like cosmic lesson or Saturn is like, this person is going to, you know, there's going to be an application of work. Like it's going to be something that you have to do whether you like it or not. You know, so it's like the mental attitude that you take going towards that, you know, is going to determine how you're initiated into whatever that you're doing, or the learning process or the learning curve. You know, like what's the mental attitude that you have. Like you said, like if you're not positive, you know, during this week, or if you don't have positive words of affirmation, it can turn to something very negative. You know, so I think with this card, or just the Saturn road in general, is like those people have a lot of potential, you know, but are you willing to do the work? You know,
Right.
Are you willing to put the time in? I was writing earlier, I was writing like time management, you know, or time the what the hell I write? Requires and they shouldn't gamble. I did see that. But yeah, discipline. Yeah, time. I just put time and discipline. But yeah, what's the discipline that you have? You know, this is a card that can be like what we call them, mantras. You know, I think when you're looking at mantras and you're looking at like religious script and text, you know, you look at the ritual of going to church. It's like a recognition of like you doing this all the time. You recognizing these laws. You recognizing these scriptures. You're committing them to your memory to create a positive mind state. You know, I think with this, it's like, if you're not careful, it can be one of those things. If like you said, you don't know that you're creating this negative mentality until it just comes up, you know, because it's been ingrained over time, you know, something that you fixated. And I think once the Seven of Clubs become initiated, or they recognize what they're doing, or like you say, like you recognize like, oh, like I feel like I'm speaking from a negative space. So once you recognize that essence, you're able to become like the initiate. Like I have power over my mind, I have power over my words, I have power like over other people. So I think that Jack of Spades gives you, is like a playground. It opens up the doors to reality of you creating anything. You know, it's like one of the most creative energies that you can possibly have. It's like, I was talking to somebody. I was like, sometimes I feel like I'm maybe crazy looking at astrology, or looking at, or maybe other people look at it as crazy, but you know, maybe we're just creating our own reality as well. You know, from the way that we think, looking at these placements. And I think sometimes astrology, like some people can take it. That's one thing about Seven of Clubs. Some of them are do not like spirituality because of the negative context that they may see in it as well, you know, or if they don't have some type of groundness within the if it doesn't have like that Saturn, that practical aspect of it, they may discard it and go on for another type of spirituality, you know. So it's like practical application of the spiritual tools of wisdom that you have. I was just saying earlier, I just said this week, I was like, yesterday, I was like, I'm not sick, I'm gonna get better, I'm gonna do better, like I'm not gonna let this sickness take me over. So I was like, I was creating these mantras of trying to overcome the sickness, you know, trying to take back control of my mind and my brain and my
can I give you a trick on that one? So once you actually start to feel some symptoms, the language is, this is moving through me so quickly. Thank you for the reminder to take care of myself, but thank you for moving through me quickly. It's amazing how quickly this moved through me, you know, because like to say I'm not sick when you're sick is like your inner self's going, what is he fucking talking about?
Right. Yeah.
It's like you're choking over there, like something's up, you know? So it's like acknowledging what's up, but inviting it to move quickly, to use what I have. This is moving through me. This is something that was there to tell me something. I'm listening to the need to take care of myself, or drink more water, or sleep better, or whatever. And I'm ready for this to move through me as I rest, or as I do things. Like that's what I would say to the boys when they would start to get this thing. I said, just ask it to move through, and that it doesn't have to stay, that you got the message.
And that's how I was kind of thinking when you were speaking about your experience at the farm and telling people it's not sometimes a negative thing, I think, to recognize the realities that we're in, because I think we need those type of checks, like what's really taking place. I understand like the negative projections of someone assuming what's taking place as well is like trying to find that balance. I think that's what the sevens kind of like struggle at. It's like, yeah, there is something wrong, like there is a higher, there is a lower, you know, like there is this negative energy that's taking place, but how do I handle it? Like, how do I not let that affect me when I go out into the public, you know?
Yeah, you know what I'm finding myself most sensitive to, even when I was talking to them, and I don't know if you guys can relate. I really don't like it when somebody feels bad. Like, I hadn't seen this one girl at the farm. I said, yeah, I had shingles. It's still there. It's like about a month. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she got upset again. And then the other one got upset. And I was just like, well, I'm trying to tell you guys how I learned something through the shingles and how I think your body talks. And you guys are feeling bad for me. And I'm not sure why I feel so, I guess, quote unquote, triggered by people feeling bad for me, as if like I shouldn't say stuff that's going to make people feel bad. I think that's like a new training in my brain since my time at the farm. It's like, lift people up with your words, you know, reflect their divinity, you know, encourage them. And when I'm sharing a real story, I can see sometimes how it hits people with like a weight, or they feel like, oh, that's sad. And I'm always curious about that, because trauma bonding, what is it? But it's like you said, you're just sharing, but you're watching the person's body be like, you know, Jesus Christ, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to tell you what happened, but like, I feel bad for them because they're feeling bad for me. I'm not saying this is normal or healthy. I'm just acknowledging this. Okay?
And I think too, the sevens, any of them, really do have to be mindful of what they, you know, allow into their environment, what they expose themselves to, what they read, what they listen to, because it can become a virus, you know, it can penetrate them, and then it can really take over. So they have to be very, I would say this is a card that really has to protect their energy. They have to protect what they, you know, put themselves into or around, like, you know, because it can be a card of gossip, right? There's a lot of talking, being able, so they can, like I said, either going to have, you know, vomit of the mouth, or they're speaking life, you know. So, and I think it, you know, because they receive things too. Remember, this is a card of spiritual knowledge. This is a 7. They have direct line to those higher powers. And, you know, if they're not of a healthy place, you know, or the things that they're kind of getting are not of healthy, you know, attributes, it can be pretty detrimental to them. And let's not forget, they also have the 7 of spades as their Saturn card. So it's like they kind of go through purges and cleanses. They have to cleanse their body. They have to cleanse their mind. They have to cleanse their frequency, their aura. Like, even just something that would be very good for 7 of clubs, or even this week for all of us, like taking salt baths, like cleansing your space, cleansing, you know, of any negative thoughts, of anything that is where you have fear, where you have doubts, where you have worry. And another thing too with the 7s, the biggest thing that what I've learned is how they can speak things into existence, and how they can be very powerful energies of manifesting is when they're in the moment. Like, because they swing so much, because it's either faith or fear. There's no in between. The in between is the sweet spot. The in between is the now. The in between is when they're clear, when they have, you know, the moment. They're not worried about the past. They're not trying to go back to something that that you can't. Or even more importantly, I think I find this to be even the bigger aspect, is their worry. You can worry about things that haven't even happened yet, which then take you out of the now, and now creates a lot of lack. Because if you're worried about something that hasn't even shown up yet, you don't believe it's coming. You don't believe it's yours, right? You have a lot of worry and fear around that energy. So it's important for the 7s, you know, to definitely stay grounded, to, you know, anchor themselves in the moment, in the now. It's key.
Yeah, and it's just Saturn Uranus, so like you said, that is the future, you know. And I think especially I find myself even with struggling. I think looking at the mind and how it works. I was telling there's an astrologer that says there's no one that can control the mind. You know, that's our biggest detriment, is that like you said, that worry about the future. If you see, like if I one time I went to an event and I got stiff and I looked at my car. I was like, I need to move my car. But I didn't. Then like 30 minutes later, there's this person calling like, hey, if you're driving a 300 Chrysler, your car just got hit. You need to come outside.
Wow.
I was like, are you freaking serious? But so like you said, like if you don't have that like worried about the future, but there's some type of practical thing there. Just a sec, I'm sorry, my nose.
What's interesting about what he's saying is how we kind of create it in a way and then look to create it. Because I'll say that intuitive stuff that he's talking about, my 7 of clubs friend I'm talking about, she's pretty like she's pretty psychic, you know what I mean? She's all water sign, 7 of clubs. So she's tuned up, right? But then what it is then it's the wanting to know, or what happened?
Oh, I'm sorry. I tried to take myself away.
It's the figuring it out, you know, and then like getting ahead of herself. Do you think it's this? I think it's this. It could be this. I think it might be this. And I'm like, what the fuck? No. Like, we can't go there. We can only stay in the present moment. You know, get your little intuitive hits, pick up what you got to take with you in case. But to start to make it up and think that's what's going to happen, I've seen that really go wacky.
You know, their superpower is in the now. The more that they're in the present moment and they feel in a more relaxed state, if you will, and not in a state of worry, not in a state of fear, not in a state of doubt and that lack. They're in that present moment. And remember, 7s are reciprocity. So, you know, allowing yourself to receive is another big part of the 7 energy. You have to open yourself up, but also it's funny, you can't be attached to those things either, right? Because then that's where we can get disappointed and then cause some more, you know, lower frequencies because we had an expectation, we had a condition or an attachment that we wanted. Like a lot of times with 7s, when they show up in your spread, you kind of have to let go of your plans. You have to let go of your ideas about things because maybe what you thought or what you wanted might not have been good for you, right? And if it's not happening, right, you should, you know, kind of have that faith that, okay, maybe I needed to be redirected. Maybe that what I really wanted wasn't ideal for me, wasn't good for me. And the universe, you know, a lot of times it can get removed from you and then you're still over here, you know, caught onto what you thought it should have been. And a lot of times the 7s have to see things for what they are, not what they want it to be, right? And that's another thing. Because if you're wanting it to be something that it's not, it's you're once again out of the present moment. You're not seeing clearly. You're not, you know, you're not grounded. You're in, you know, la la land.
And especially with the 7 of clubs, it can feel maybe restricted, like it's not getting what it want, like advantageous to the 8 of diamonds. Like it feels like it wants this materialistic power or the accumulation of wealth or whatever it may be, you know, or wherever they may desire, where they place their values at. But like you said, like, am I not getting paid enough, you know, looking towards the future. But I like what J-Lo said, like the bison in a storm just runs towards the storm to get it over with instead of away from it, you know. So I thought it's like really neat looking at like the 7 of clubs or any 7s. Like, if it's not don't run away from the vision or what you have, but maybe looking at ways that you can fix it or practical applications of your spiritual gifts. Because I think it's kind of hard to tell them to not think of the negative, because that's like, you can't really, that's why I say you can control your mind, but that's why I think spirituality needs like mantras, like the 7 of clubs needs mantras. I think like to keep themselves in this positive state of mind and this positive awareness of what they're creating mentally, so the negatives don't run rampant and take over their consciousness, you know. So like running towards the storm in the sense of not fearing it, you know, not questioning yourself. If there's a issue,
faith, right? That's faith.
Yeah, faith, exactly. All
That's
7
walking in faith. That's like saying, I'm being danced by the universe. What I need is going to show up. I'm standing on my square. I'm communicating what I can do. You know what I mean? Like, that's the faith of that. There'll be another side to this. And as hairy as it can be, there'll be another side to this. But yeah, the faith piece is strong. And I think that it's the venting and the wanting, like I was talking about yesterday. Like, I started to vent about my situation. And as I did, I started to collect negative energy that they were like sitting in with me. And I was like, wait a minute. And I wasn't trying to make bad energy. I was venting at the farm about the struggle I have to accept the lack of motivation of the male species that grew out of me.
But would it have to change if someone came in and started speaking positively instead of receiving what you're saying, like altering? Maybe if you were speaking in a type of context that was semi, negative, or just speaking about what's happening and how it makes you feel. But I feel like sometimes that's what the therapist or other people do, like they take in the information and then regurgitate it to you in a more positive form, or make you look at it at a different light, and manipulating the energy, I guess, or transforming it into something else. I think that's what, that Saturn Uranus is taking something from a negative standpoint and turning it into a positive. They can, a lot of times, like the Seven of Clubs can go into law of justice, maybe even because of those things. They see something wrong, or they see some type of metaphysical practice and they want to add to it, like, how can I shape
or
this,
they like to argue
or argue.
They have a Jack of Clubs in Mars. They can be, they know how to use those words.
You're right. Using the gift of gab was for positivity, but not negativity. You're right.
I think the reframing's real. I think we do reframe, and we can help people kind of pick it up. I don't know that it would have helped for anybody to do anything. I think I'm learning that one of the ways that I've managed my life is I verbally process, and that sometimes my deeper emotions have like a squirreliness in it. So my verbal processing gets squirrely. So I think it's just for me to learn more about what needs my attention, but also, I have to be careful of what I say, because I don't have to tell them about what happened at my house. Like, there's no reason to tell them. It was like, you already had a cookie. Why you have another cookie? Like, you talked to your best friend after it happened. You don't need to talk about it again. Why are you talking about it? Like really letting it go and like coming back to the present moment. Like, that happened in the morning. This was the afternoon. Like, why am I still talking about it?
So I was looking up, I remember I've heard this, the word fear, right? And you can associate with the sevens, faith or fear, but fear, false evidence appearing real, right? And so that is literally the Seven of Clubs wrapped in a shell, right? So, because once again, you have to really, and I've seen this in action with people, with myself, about how, like, you start to worry about something, and then when it all works out, you're like, dang, I really did all that. Like, it wasn't even the actual reality of the situation. And it not really, if you're aware, helps you, like, once again, because they have that Seven of Spades and Saturn, they have to be spiritually disciplined. You just can't wake up in the morning and one day and speak some positive shit and expect everything to work. It's a discipline, which means it's like practice makes perfect, right? So it's something they have to implement every single day of their life, sometimes moment by moment, depending on what might be playing out. But they really have to have more awareness of their thoughts and where their mind is going. And what kind of back to what Rashad was saying earlier about their spirituality, I find that either sevens are completely engulfed in like religion and the Bible and all kinds of just prophet stuff, or they're not at all. Like, they have no spiritual grounding, just free floating. So I find that there's extremes in so many different levels with the seven energy, and that's from all of them I found so far. I mean, I'm sure there's different scenarios, but what I've seen so far with people is that either they had a really strong religious upbringing and they grew up in a church, they were in church like 5 days a week, or there was nothing, not one crumb of any kind of spiritual grounding. So they have to, and some of them you find are preachers, You know, they speak the word of God. They, you know, because they have like a direct little line to, you know, that higher energy. So they can be very preachy. They can definitely, and I think that's another thing too. Like that's like the, what is it when you like talk in tongues and stuff like that? You see that with the Seven of Clubs, like just having a lot of spiritual connotations around their words. But, you know, fear, they have to, you know, get out of that swing. And it doesn't mean like you're never going to worry ever again. It just means you don't have to stay there. You know, if you, it's just being aware that, okay, what I try to teach my clients too, like when you get to that space of starting to become overwhelmed or nervous or unsure, bring yourself back down to the now. It helps to kind of calm all this stuff that starts to ping and starts to kind of, you know, grow roots. And you have to, you know, fertilize those roots or water those roots with either, you know, that positive, you know, that discipline, that more speaking things into existence in life, not the lower side. So they have to really work. And even, and anybody who has this in your spread, weekly, daily, whatever, it's a discipline. You have to practice this. You have to really, really work at this to build it, because you get tested, as you see, because something will happen. And if there are oppositions to your plans, that's the test. Do you go to the negative? Do you go to woe is me, having a pity party about what you thought should have been, and you now you're all distraught? Or do you just be like, all right, cool, maybe that wasn't for me. Let me be grateful for the whatever may have been playing out, rather than, because I think with the sevens too, it shows us how we respond, how we react. Do we go instantly to the lack? Do we go instantly to the, you know, the doubt, the worry, the fear, or do we have a positive outlet? Like, do we, like, for instance, if something was to be, you know, opposition to what you thought it was going to be, are you able to look at that as, oh, okay, cool, I can, you know, go do something else? Or you're going to dwell in what could have been, should have been, would, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to stay there. You're going to stay stuck to that, what that could have been, seeing the bigger picture, because they got that 9 pushing them, you know? So you have to kind of see the bigger picture with that energy. And then they have a 9 in Jupiter, you know, letting go of the see it for the, you know, see the potential of that, maybe something even better to what you thought was going to be could come. Right. The 7 of Clubs has to kind of be like, the best is still yet to come.
And they sit in the 8 of Diamonds space. I think it's kind of hard not to want to control. You know,
Yeah.
Like you said, you have to let go of expectations, especially 9s or 8s. Like, it's okay to have structure and to build, but to have complete control is impossible in this realm because of the inability to control all aspects. You know, you're only one person. You know, like you said, you need mantras, you need all of those things to keep you in a positive place. Like someone was saying, I love like the Vedic. That's like another love of mine. I don't know, like I'm still going through the Nasastras now, but Prithvi mudra. So there's a great mudra for an all water that can possibly help ground. So Prithvi mudra, calling in earth element, you know, so you're not, I guess, so you're not drowned in your emotions, you know,
Yeah.
needing, and it has a 5 of Diamonds and Neptune as well. And this 5 of Diamonds is actually psychic, you know, it has a lot of intuition that comes from that particular card. So
the 7 of Clubs.
Yeah.
It's their Mercury.
Mercury, I'm sorry. What did I say? I don't know.
Neptune. They have the King of Clubs in Neptune, which also, you know, is very psychic too. So you weren't far off.
Yeah, that's a beast too, right? To have a King of Clubs and Neptune, that's a big one. You know, you can't underestimate that. And then just the power of, especially have your own suit and your Neptune. You know, so it's who else has their own suit?
And that shows with the higher mind. You know what I mean? Because the King of Clubs being that master of the mind, the master of your thoughts, you have, like, the higher you can go, the more, and sometimes you have to think about too, Neptune being illusionary and rose-colored glasses, they have to kind of, you know, come out from that veil and really see the truth, see it for what it really is, not the fantasy. not what they want it to be.
Yes.
Yep.
So the Three of Hearts has their own suit in Neptune. The Six of Hearts, the Six of Diamonds, the Ace of Diamonds, and the Three of Spades, the Seven of Clubs. So yeah, I think looking at Two of Clubs, looking at those cards who have their own suit in Neptune I think is very important. And I think especially because it's like you see where you want to be, or you have this knowing, I think, of your potential, and letting go of that, or like you say, imagining something that's not there, or running to the water and not running away from it. And even with people that have schizophrenia, I think showing them that this isn't real, guiding them or taking them their hand to that place, like, oh, is two people outside fighting, and taking them to the fight, and it just disappeared. I don't know if you ever seen A Beautiful Mind, but I thought that was a dope movie, is showing that aspect of, how your mind can play tricks on you. But I think at the end of the movie, I think she took him and was like, it's nothing here. She was like, this isn't real. So so it's kind of hard, like I said, even having intuition, it's kind of like it's kind of, you have to play it out. Either you react upon it and you seem crazy, or you was right. It's like, it's a fine line, it's a thin line, it's like,
it is.
So it's hard. It's a hard place in this reality, to be honest. Even for me, like you said, I think threes have that same issue of worrying about the past, present, and future, of staying present in this reality. And they say the threes are. I was looking at the Three of Diamonds, reading up on it. It's like, if they know that they're one of the closest thing to God. I was like, no, I did not know that. You would not have been able to convince me if you
just like how I was like, the word heaven is a Three of Diamonds. No way.
No way.
But then when I really went through I was like, oh my God. It really, when you go through that spread, it's Four of Clubs. Heaven is a state of mind. Either, you know what I mean? Heaven or hell is your mindset.
Yeah, and it can take you away. Even in the spiritual spread, the queens, they have all sevens as a Pluto. I'm pretty sure we may have said that before. Well,
even all the threes have sevens in their spread. Usually two of them. They don't. You usually have two of them.
Two threes, two sevens. So what's for the Three of Diamonds? I was just looking at that myself. Like, that's why I mentioned it, because they have you have the Seven of Hearts and Mercury as a challenge. Then you have it in Venus, and then you have it in Mars. It's like
the Three of Clubs. The Three of Clubs deals with the most power. Like, has that Seven of Spades and Pluto. Their Mars is a Seven of Clubs, so they got double sevens. The Three of Hearts has the Seven of Hearts, the Seven of Diamonds. Right? The Three of Spades has the Seven of Clubs, the Seven of Spades. I mean, they all have both. Two sevens within their spreads.
And not to say those other cards don't either, but it's the relativity of how close it is from birth, from the jump, from start. Like the Nine of Hearts has the Seven of Diamonds, as challenging them. So you still have two sevens from the start. And so sevens is a real power, I think, between the spiritual and physical, and also, the fours as well. They're saying it's like the twos of like two spiritual and two physical apps of matter. So but I think the seven really deals with a higher calling.
Definitely, and it's interesting when in readings for people's spreads, I've come to see those sevens. When people have heavy seven in their spread, the fours are right. Like the fours are usually like the Jupiter card, the environment card, the reward card. So it's in a very prominent place to say your reward is staying clear. Your reward is staying present. When you stay in the moment, when you stay grounded, when you stay clear, that's when you're magical. That's when you really can speak things into existence and manifest instantly. But I call the sevens the seesaw. Right. And then the four is the middle. And so that's the balance, right? It's that sturdiness that the sevens have to get to. Same thing with the threes. 3 of the 4 threes transform into 4s. So you're gonna be good. It's just you creating all your damn. It's you, thinking you're not gonna be good. Letting fear, letting that swing, that seesaw, take you to the bottom. You know what I mean? To the other side, and you have to kind of. I find the 7. I have a new analogy, whatever the word is. It's like quicksand of your mind. You know what I mean? You can get sucked in, and you gotta like, or you're gonna drown in that mental purgatory that you can get yourself into. So it's quicksand, and you gotta like haul ass out of there. You're gonna get suffocate in your thoughts or in your beliefs or whatever it may be.
I'm touched by the number thing because, again, this is all only 3-4 years old for me, but 3s, 4s, and 7s were the numbers when I was growing up, right? Meaning that 3 was unity, 4 was the directions, and then 7 became that above and below within the 4 directions plus the ones and above and below. And like, this has been in the brain frame for a minute. And in this moment, when you're talking about it, I'm like, so 2 3s come together and make a new one, right? To make the 7. So meaning that Trinity, those energies of coming together, like Mother, Maiden, Crone, Holy Spirit, Father, Son, like those Trinity energies, right? Because that's where the power is in what you do with that third energy. So that's where my brain's going. It's like how 3s really do create those pockets of like wholeness to be able to evolve into that spiritual path. But it's a lot of times it's the union of the 7 with the universe, with their partner, with their job. Like, it's getting over yourself to be able to bring your gifts to what
it's getting over your fear. Because threes are ruled by Jupiter. They're an abundant energy. They're here to give you more. But I feel like 3s need to understand. I was just telling a client, I did a reading yesterday for a 3. And I'm like, I think 3s need readings. They have to know their energy, or they're the type that can cause they fear is their, nemesis. It can really infiltrate them. So if they understood that majority of them transform into that 4 energy. Even the 3 of hearts, the other one that doesn't transform into a 4, transforms into a 9. The 9 of spades, which is a very powerful, there's maturity there. Because the 3 of hearts can be, a whole little immature energy. So they have to grow, they have to evolve, they have to mature. Right.
Or the hearts are the most mature, and that they're going to that higher place to let go, because being in your heart and your innocence is a great value, but
it is
a little intense.
But so the fact that they transformed the 3 of them, the other 3s transform into 4s, it's like, what are you tripping about? You know what I mean? You're going to end up good. You're going to end up solid. You're going to end up secure. It's you who, allow that energy to kind of, and if you realize that it really just wants to give you more, it wants to have you to expand, diversify, try new things, experiment, grow. If you let fear, you don't grow, you stay stagnant. And then I think that's another thing that happens with the 3s. If they can't grow and expand, they'll shut down. That's, I think, where like writer's block comes from, or, creatively blocking yourself, because there's such a creative expression that if they can't get that out, then they become really consumed. And that's when they can become, destructive almost, because they start to operate from that fear base.
And if like you said, the 7 of clubs are outside influences. Like you said, it can be, the outside influence can be a positive one, or it can be a negative one. Like
they have to protect their energy. Like, that's key. You have to be mindful of who you are around, what you allow into your frequency. If you watch the news all day, oh my God, you're gonna be a whole shit show of nerves, and everybody's gonna die. Like, 7 of clubs should not watch the news.
Well, 7 of spades, I know Madeline was saying, like, I didn't watch scary movies. I didn't watch, I am outside of this physical world. Whatever's taking place, that is not me, because I don't want it to take over my physical, and I think that's very important. Like you said, it has the 7 of spades and Saturn, it can very much so let any negative forces take on affect their physical,
Mm-hmm.
and create, like you said, this virus or this mental or physical illness that is created from, the like mentality or whatever it may be, that was advantageous to where it was trying to do or grow to, So yeah, it could very much so be a thing. You have to guard yourself. You can't let everybody in. And I think that's why sevens need isolation. There can be a card that needs isolation, that can go off to themselves, that may have to go into the dark, to
they have to go into their self and really check what's going on in there. Where are your thought process? Because truthfully too, with them having that 7 of spades and Saturn, if their thoughts can definitely affect their health, they'll make themselves sick with just things that they're thinking and how they're thinking, because that 7 of spades being in Saturn is our discipline, our health, our forms, and a 7 of spades there, you can really look at that as a way to purify at the highest, or it can make you sick. It can debilitate you. It can cause you to, experience the other side of that energy and have to really, then not only are you quicksand of your mind, you're quicksand of your body, your health, you're spiraling down rather than spiraling up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that's the sevens. It's like either you're going to spiral down or you're going to spiral up. And I think that's key.
Definitely got to let the reset happen, because I think it's the adrenaline and the keep going that makes it so we don't always get the full health back, like into our avatar, if you will. I think there's something like that that's real.
Mm-hmm.
I also wonder, if everybody, I don't know who ends up listening to these, but in general, what I'm noticing us doing is we're talking about the energies of the week. So yes, we're identifying specific people, but we're also talking about the way that you might find yourself overwhelmed or scared or confused or worried when all the changes are happening and what's true and not true, and the power of being able to like slow down and notice what you're saying and what it's growing inside of you, because that's just consciousness. That's just part of the responsibility to your emotions and mastery, because a lot of times we just get caught up in energies. The more I'm tracking these cards, the more I'm realizing that, boy, the energy really took me over that day. Like, I didn't play that card well. I was played by that card.
Yep.
That's growth, though. And someone said that 3 of diamonds is learning, and that's a part of growing thing. It's recognizing. That's why I said sometimes you have to recognize the reality of what's taking place in order to fix it. You can't ignore the storm. You may have to run to it, and it may sweep you off your feet, and you're like, "What was that?" But you get back up and you realize where you are. You realize what happened. I think that's the thing with the Jack of Spades, is being initiated and learning the process of, how do I control my mind? What is it that I need? Like you said, Jim, like some sevens can be in total denial of any type of spiritual out. So if they're in denial, I will ask, like, how do they handle their personal issues? Do they run from the issues? Are they a person that would go into isolation instead of, because sevens is a weird place to be, because it's those people, they work in isolation, but they have to come out. It kind of reminds me of me being the hermit, because it's a societal card. It's like, no, you got to come out, buddy, and play. Like, you can't stay cooped up all the time, So it's like taking those internal awarenesses and bringing it out to the public. I think it depends on the birthday and whomever, but they are meant to work with people, and how they do it may be dependent upon the person's sign and their personal astrology, whatever it may be. But there's going to be a time where you have to come out and adjust, or you have to learn and get over yourself and bring the information into the light, and either get initiate or be the initiate for someone else, So either you're going to train yourself or learn and get over these learning humps, or attain this sense of spirituality, or there's going to be a hindrance or something that you're going to keep having to learn. The point of growth, I'll talk about the 10 of clubs and Jack of spades of being like the learning curve. Like you're either accepting the information that you have coming to you, or you're in denial of because that information is going to help you, and you can apply that to this real world. Like me this week, like I said, I'm sick, but like, how can I get better? You know, like, it's more than just me speaking it into existence, applying physical and real world application to learning, like the Queen of Spades, Seven of Spades, right? I've been drinking. I've got this new concoction of food grade hydrogen peroxide. It is like I've seen the board, like the 2 minute, 3 minute, 1 minute cure, or whatever. That it is. It works wonders. I do have to say.
Tell me what you do with it. You just put it into your water?
Yeah, just put it in your water and drink it.
How much? How often a day? How much do you put in?
To be honest, because I'm so sick, 2 times. Yeah, right. It's like a bottle of alcohol. Let me just drown out. Drown this thing out. And 7 Clubs don't drink as well. That's one thing about Pisces and those people, because you get so. Speaking of drowning in sickness, right? So you want to drown yourself out, take yourself out of this reality instead of fixing it, you know? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, drowning myself in hydrogen peroxide is just cleaning out the mucus and breaking it up. I'm doing
how much do you put in? Just like a teaspoon?
Oh, just a drop, like a cap full, because the cap is like semi small. It's just a cap full I may put in.
And it's once a day you drink it in the water?
Now, like I said, because I'm sick now, twice, because there's a mucus buildup in my throat, and then I don't know if people how the tonsils, the Taurus energy, Venus, 7 diamonds. I've seen they have had tonsil issues, but gargling my tonsil.
Peroxide? They got tonsil issues from drinking it, or it helped?
No. I'm saying it's just because that Taurus Venus energy and the throat, I think, is around like that Taurus energy. So making sure you're aware of that. So, but yeah, so gurgling it and letting my tonsils.
That's really fascinating, Rashad, since in astrology right now, everything is in Taurus. And we're in a 7 of Clubs week.
Yeah,
the North Node, Jupiter, the Sun, Mercury. There's a huge, and there's a grand fixed cross thing happening too, and it's all from the Taurus energy. So that I think that's why we're seeing an uptick in people probably, having sore throats and just dealing with that kind of energy. So it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even think about it.
Because you were just talking about the throat, and I'm like, wait a minute, everything is in Taurus right now. So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about tonsils. Like tonsillitis. Anybody, are y'all okay out there?
And also, like, what'll help is gargling with salt water too. It'll help to soothe all that.
Yeah. Well, my friends, I must go, but please persist if you will. I love the weekly card check-in. I appreciate it. Always helps me feel like I'm in it, like I'm understanding more about what's happening, because I'm almost always having the same experiences. So thank you for the way it informs life.
You're welcome. No problem. I'm going to just show this one, what Gina was saying. So okay.
All right, sweet. I'll see you guys soon.
See you.
Is that the current transit?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, look at all that. Look at all that Taurus there, right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you got the moon, Mercury. I'm talking about speaking and talking. Well,
Uranus, the sun.
Yeah, and I was like, when I was
Jupiter.
driving, she was talking about someone, like you said, he moved and got sick, so in transition, moving to a new place, new location, unexpected sickness that just comes up. I was just driving in the car and I was like, am I getting sick? Like, I was like, never in my life I felt like down to the timing of me getting sick. I looked at that, while I'm driving the car. I was like, am I getting sick? I feel like in the hour, yeah, this is happening right now.
Yeah. And it's sometimes like it just has to run its course, and just keep your immune system up. That's all we can really do, and people, like, he's actually feeling better because I brought him some herbs and some supplements and tea and soup, to be able to kind of just kick it out of him faster, I think you're going to see more of that probably come about. But yeah, that's a lot of earth, a lot of fixed energy right now with that Taurus.
And I think they do need soups, so like
Mhm.
soups that soothe their throat, their esophagus, their tonsils, or whatever it may be. Like you said, salt water, a gurgle would be a good application, adding that moon and soothing that particular area. So yes, with everything in Earth, everything about around food, sustenance, your livelihood. I think we're looking at that Taurus in opposition. Like it is a play between like the earth or the ground, like leaves and all those things are here for your survival, life and death.
Yeah.
The opposite end of that is Scorpio. The opposition of that is Scorpio. Even in the Vedic, they look at life and death. I think between the second, fourth, and eighth house, and also the seventh, or and fourth as well, I believe, because first thing that can take you out is your family.
They bring you in, they'll take you out.
Right, they'll bring you in and take you out. So, and we all conjugate around the values and around money as well. Like people will kill you over their values. People will kill you over money. So you want to watch yourself, watch the way that you talk, and the way that you carry yourself. It's being fixed in that earth energy around the things that you believe in, and may not be good, but. Yeah, it's so interesting right now. So I've seen another astrologer talk about food just earlier this week.
Yeah, Taurus loves its food, and it's comforting, and with the our resources, our food, you see it already, right? You already see the food industry is changing, right? We've had Uranus has been in Taurus for a while, so we're seeing that. You're seeing lab grown food. You're seeing, we've also seen like farms being destroyed, cows being, you know what I mean? So you see the high and the low of what this energy can bring. So the uptick of the, what are those things called? Like the tower gardens, or just people, being able to gather more resources and grow more things. And you're seeing a push for, gardening and just getting back to the earth and its beauty and what, but there's Uranus there too that comes to shake things up.
And it's trying to recognize change. I think also that Saturn with the Seven of Clubs, it's something needs to change as an application, learning something new.
Yeah.
How can we upgrade the inventiveness around that? I think Seven of Clubs are great at law, coming in and reckoning change and changing things around those particular areas, and taking that Uranus, that inventive spirit of upgrading what you have. Because people look at Aquarius as like this uncontrollable energy, but no, I think it's a energy that's not. That doesn't mind restructuring, taking in or bringing in and looking at and analyzing what you have, and then seeing how can I change that, or how can I upgrade that to make it better, so it can be maybe seen like, oh, they just come in and what they call the Three of Diamonds, the rebel without a cause, So instead of being the rebel without a cause, it's the rebel with a cause. It's a rebel that's came to restructure and to reorganize and to bring change and reckoning to this environment, or to like you said, to the nature of food. That's why I was saying on Clubhouse, I was talking and I was like, yeah, I can't wait until other powers come into play, because the school systems need changing. Like the food system and the school lunches and food. I was looking at a kid mashed potatoes. I was like, what is that?
There's not even a potato in there, probably.
No, not exactly. No, seriously, it's not even probably a potato in there. And that's the saddest thing to say. Like, I can't imagine me having kids. Like, I would be so worried about what are you eating at school? Like, where are they feeding you? Because
I've been sending my kids with lunch since they went to school. I wasn't gonna let the school feed them, at least, and it's hard though, because I'm very weird considering what other people do when it comes to food and what their kids eat. So it's hard when your kids are in the settings where, you know, other people don't look at food and health like I do. And so, you know, I've had to go to the teachers, like, I don't reward my kid with candy. I don't want her having the dyes. I don't want her having the sugar. And it's like, she's the only one. You know? So I send her with, you know, more natural stuff so she doesn't feel left out when it comes to that kind of stuff. But it makes it a little bit harder, more challenging to kind of, when, you know, she's eating her grapes and the other kids are eating Doritos, and, you know, it's definitely makes it harder.
But when you look at the, yeah, I know, because when you look at the like the benefits, it's like, which one, life or death? I'm not saying it's death, but well, you know, it is. I think it should be taken that serious, you know, because like, Taurus, like, life or death, like, which one you want to choose? Like, what do you find valuable? What do you, you know, how are you feeding yourself? How are you nourishing yourself? You know, because I was talking to someone that I was saying, or we was on Clubhouse. I was talking about how I don't eat sweets. I never was that type of sweets person, but now eating fruits, I appreciate the natural flavors. You know, I appreciate the sensation that it gives. You know, so yeah, it is a sense of health and nutrition, and going with what your body wants. You know, because that's why we're here, and hopefully people talk about the end of times, you know, and we just got out of our Jesus period and into Aquarius, you know, so hopefully we're not as blind and not taking on concepts blindly, and really recognizing, you know, what is it that we're consuming spiritually and the connectedness that we have. And I think Pisces has like Aquarius in the 12th house, well, considering. So it is, I think there's a knowing or a sense of wanting to know. And I think Aquarius is like really like that. Not saying that the 12th isn't, but I think you can get lost in Neptune sometimes when factors take upon you. And I think the Aquarius nature, like that fixed energy, is more of a personal, like gains and personal
mission,
achievement and personal mission that you have, and personal responsibility as well, you know, and you take that personal responsibility and share it with other people, you know. So you're going out fixing and healing and helping other people and aiding to their needs, taking that information and using it.
Yep. You know, for me, I remember when I, you know, I was pregnant with my youngest, and that's when I really started to, like, as I was getting closer to her due date, I really started to change. You know, I stopped drinking dairy, and I wasn't really a big dairy person anyways, but I just really eliminated it because I know it can cause colic with the baby. And I used to be like, you know, I used to have like Kit Kats and little Snickers I would keep in my fridge because I like my chocolate cold. And as I stopped eating these certain things and I went back to try it one time, like I could taste the chemicals in them. It's like your taste buds change. You know, like I won't even touch this stuff now because it tastes like chemicals to me. It's not, I'll eat chocolate here and there, but I will go and splurge on natural, you know, real stuff before I ever buy that crap again, because I could literally taste the chemicals. And it's like your taste buds change. I used to be a drinker. Like I used to drink a lot. You know, I think this transition of, you know, moving out of that Pisces, and I'm on Pisces rising too. So I could easily live in fogland, and, you know, alcohol was a catalyst to that sometimes. I don't even like the way alcohol makes me feel anymore. I don't drink it. My body doesn't like it. It's almost like it rejects it. So I don't drink anymore. And that, it wasn't like I, you know, had a problem with it. I didn't like the way it made me feel, just like I didn't like the way that chocolate tasted anymore. So I'm like, ooh, why am I going to eat it? Why am I going to I don't like the way alcohol makes me feel anymore, so I'm not going to drink.
Because it alters your state of mind. Like
yeah, I don't want, you know, when you step into these types of spaces, you do, I feel like you're open to all types of energies and spirits and stuff like that. I don't need to be awoken at 3 o'clock in the morning and, you know, having to fight off something. So
no, that's funny. I just said that last night. Someone sent me this lady. She went to jail, and I was like, "Dang, she's acting like she's possessed." I was like, and they happily reminded me, I ain't gonna say happily, but they reminded me, I've done that myself. Like, so looking at myself and like you said, with the sevens, it can be something stuck subconscious. You know, you didn't even know it was there. And when you get drunk, it's gonna come up.
Oh, it'll call it spirits for nothing. You know what I mean? And I think you do because because alcohol changes you, and then it's like almost like a different person can come in. You're like, that's not you when you're sober, but you're this when you're drinking, right? And so, and a lot of times they say alcohol brings the truth, or you're less inhibited. You tend to speak more bluntly, say things that you would probably never say if you were sober, right? So you open yourself up, and I don't knock it. I went to a whole wedding, and I have a whole blast. I don't need alcohol. Like I realize it's not something that I have to have, and I'm completely content with being around people who do it, and I don't care. I have my own means of feeling good that don't inquire me to take me out of who I am.
And it happens when you get comfortable with yourself. You said, those sevens, threes, if you're not fearful, if you're not nervous, there's no anxiety, you can be yourself, you can open up. I think that's the issue with drinking, or people who drink, because there's this fear of being judged, or this fear of living in this reality. I think there is a spiritual application to alcohol, but it is to show you who you are. Like, I think you do have to go through that to see your lower conscious, to see who you are, and then you grow out of that. It's not something that I think you should be using every day or on a daily basis. It's something that you use, or application to learn and to study, like you said, to learn those lower demons or those lower parts of yourself that you may not admit to, because it is truth serum. It's like I can see, like in the back of the day, like maybe therapists or people use it to get those people who are blocking themselves and who may be escaping certain realities to unlock those areas, and so they can bring the truth forward. And a lot of sevens are, truth. It's funny, I know a Nana Diamonds, hey, if she ever watches, but she has the seven of spades, Mercury, and she calls herself the truth. So I think that's funny. And Nana Diamonds, they say they shouldn't drink, because and when they do, that drinking is going to bring out the truth, it's going to bring out that other part of yourself. So let me look through his comments. I don't want to hold this too long. I know you have things to do.
Yeah, I got to get going.
It says that I was guided to drink more soothing tea. Also, I'm a Taurus sun, Mercury. The teas, those application of the teas are important with those energy. The vertex is apex it all together, which is just a spot in the air. So the nose holds and the throat play a part with regulating breath, just a jack of clubs, insight, breathing exercise. I need that as you see me sneezing. Did you want to say anything to that as well?
No, I'm good. I think we're good. I think that, it makes sense, when we think about where all the energy is and, what we're kind of, where we are, it aligns. What this is teaching us is it's as above, so below. It plays out, and, that this is a great, when we're looking at Taurus energy, how to kind of move through this is to, enjoy pleasure, allow yourself to receive, pleasure, whether it is through, however means that you use. And sometimes it is for people to go out and garden, and it is for people to go out and ground and like I kind of want to sit in the sun today, because it's really nice out. And I like to do that. Because I'm, being a Leo, that sun in me, I have to be out. I have to be near the sun. It kind of regenerates me. It recharges me. So, doing things that, give you a lot of that energy, to kind of enjoy. Because Taurus is, they like the comfort, and we're in the moon is also, we're about to have a new moon in Taurus tomorrow, or probably late tonight or wherever it falls. So, that energy is strong right now.
Yeah, so get some grounding and go to your elements, whatever gives you that peace of mind. like you said, that comfort. And I was actually just thinking to last night, I was like, I need to go to the ocean. Like that's what I should have, when I felt myself getting sick, I should have just went and indulged in the sea. I'm a Pisces moon. So,
or if you can't get to the ocean, go to a salt room. You know, go to a salt room. Salt therapy is really good because it helps to clear a lot of that out.
Yeah, so I do have Epsom salt. I put that in my shower sometimes and do like a salt rub on my foot, on my feet when I'm in the shower. So I did make sure I did that twice last night. So no, you're right. I most definitely did that. I never heard of a salt room, so I will look that up.
You sit in there for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And it's just literally sitting in a whole room of salt. And I brought my younger one to it when she would get congested. And it's just a really good way to kind of, you know, the salt is you can even, I think you can, what is that called? Nebulize salt water as well. Or do like a neti pot of salt water to help kind of clear those things out.
What is that? Like
a neti pot, you kind of put it up your nose and it kind of clears your sinuses.
Someone else told me that yesterday. No, you're right. Okay, yeah, I forgot what they called it. No, you're right. Actually, that's the thing with the threes. They say we're the closest thing to God, and it's because of those things. I think because we get those intuitive things, and like whether like the spontaneous, especially through like the spontaneous things. I was looking at this pot, and then two other people was telling me I needed it. It was like if you had to just listen to yourself, you would be like, I got the pot.
You could even something simple as doing a steam, like boiling water, putting a towel over your head. That steam, like when my kids are sick, I'm like I shut all the doors in the bathroom. I run the shower really hot, and I'm like sitting there, you know, because the steam will help to clear out stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm like in between if I want to take my hours today and do all these things just to get myself back and then come back tomorrow. So I think I may take another day.
It is an Ace of Diamonds day. Do for yourself.
Oh, you're right. You're right. All right. Well, I ain't gonna hold you. Well, thank you all for joining us. We'll see you all next week. If you have any questions, hit us up and Guided by the Cards, IG, and Rashadncards on IG as well. So I appreciate y'all. Anything else you want to say? And Dope Minerals, make sure you go get that. You know, we gotta get you a commercial in here.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, take care. You know, feel better. Enjoy this energy, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much.